First of all, Kieran N17. He says, if only acrobatic goals counted, we'd be top of the league. This is all the overhead kick goals we have scored this season. We've got Richarlison against Burnley, Paulini against Doncaster, Romero against Newcastle, and now Paulini adding his another notch to the list against Bournemouth yesterday. We've just got a knack of scoring the spectacular this season, haven't we?
Yeah.
Some of them.
Overhead kicks and overhead shins with Romero.
Yeah, true. And Richarlison also scored from the halfway line as well. Incredible. LETHFC says, weirdest performance ever. And these are the ratings yesterday. You've got Moani, Van der Ven, Porro and Vicara all on 5s. You've got Romero, Paulini and Tell all on 8s. It was a very mixed performance about it was like either you're really shit or you're really good.
Well, that is the Tottenham way, isn't it, at the moment?
Mm-hmm. It was a very strange performance, wasn't it? Chris Cowlin. So this is about the edited post, so we'll breeze over that one. Although, let's talk about that for a sec, actually. He took out the term. I didn't mention that when we mentioned it.
No, you did. You did.
No, I mentioned it, but we didn't discuss it. He took out to tell a few lies.
Yeah.
Why do you think the club told him to take him out?
100%.
His agent?
100% the club. 100%.
But why would they allow him to keep up the whole statement and just that bit?
Because maybe it's the lies bit that has got to him. Maybe that's what's come into question. You're right, it could be his agent, but I would put my money on the club. This would have been... Do you know what? There might have even been a bit...
Free speech!
Exactly.
Why are you silencing him?
It'll probably end up in prison now.
Sean says, not even Thanos could collect something with such efficiency. So this is the amount of Dr. Tottenhams we've had in the last few years. So Bournemouth on an 11-game losing streak, beat us. Leicester somehow lost, I don't know how many games in that. 13 is that? But one win, and that's us. Ipswich last season, one win in 13. Guess who it's against?
Yep.
This is 5 years ago. One win in 7.
Yep.
Who's it against?
Yep.
We also had Nottingham Forest recently. One loss in 5 games.
Yep. One
win in 5 games, sorry. Who was it against? Tottenham. So Dr. Tottenham. Ready and waiting.
Like I said, doesn't matter who the manager is, Dr. Tottenham will always see you.
That's something, he's always available, isn't he?
He is always available.
And he always has the same prescription, 3 points.
3 point, yeah.
And you'll take it very nicely. Tottenham Hotspur. Lily White Rose says, on top of how poor Frank's Tottenham are week in, week out, Brentford are totally benefiting from not having him. They're 5th in the league, right?
I know. I mean, it's 5th now. Let's see what they do. But Keith Andrews has done a fantastic job.
They're 1 point behind Liverpool and Man United.
Again, do you know what? First of all, well done to Keith Andrews. He's doing a magnificent job. But like we were speaking earlier, they lose their players. We're talking about Brighton and Bournemouth. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget Brentford. Brentford, when they lose players, their recruitment team, will cash in. We'll go get the players, and we talk about the good they're doing up top, mate. Like I keep, Kelleher is a top goalkeeper. He was a fantastic buy for them. Then they've got the front. They are just doing wonders.
The question is, was Frank holding them back?
No, I think it's way too early to say. I can't get up on. But look, if we're basing it on this, then there's a case for it, but we'll see in the long run.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Fair play.
At the moment.
But do you know what it is? It showed, and this is the annoying thing about Frank as well, you could see that if we just attacked this month correctly, look at Newcastle, who are doing so poorly. I think they've won 3 or 4 games back-to-back now.
Yeah, and all of a sudden
they're up the league. It's literally a couple of games winning run, and you're back up there challenging where you need to be. Newcastle have faith in what they're doing, and Eddie Howe and playing that football we don't hear.
Anas Ahmed says, boring football, mid-table team, mid-table manager. Who drinks from an Arsenal Cup? Who drinks from an Arsenal Cup? Relationship between players and fans is awful. Expensive tickets to watch a bang-average football team. There's nothing good with anything to do with Tottenham at the moment. What has happened to this football club?
Yeah,
it's a mess from top to bottom, Brian.
Mate, it's
nothing.
it's
nothing
constantly in a mess, but we never know the extent or where the mess is coming from. There's always a fire to put out, but now it's not just a fire; it's an inferno, and it's going to take a lot to put out this fire.
Spurs Statman says Tell had the 4th most touches of any Tottenham player yesterday. He scored 2 in 5 Premier League starts. Not insane, but today was the kind of performance I expect when we signed him. An attacking left winger really doesn't feel like our biggest January problem. Well, it definitely isn't at the moment with Kudus's injury. But yeah, look, Tell. I thought we spoke about him in the ratings, but it's just mind-boggling how he hasn't been given more of a run. Like, he's clearly got talent. I think, and I know you've been saying as well recently in his cameos, he's been doing quite well. And so even within that, he still hasn't been getting the starts. And now he started and he played brilliantly.
Yeah, and hopefully this is an indication that obviously he played him against Sunderland.
Yeah.
And he did well. Now got his 2nd start. So he's got the opportunity. He's taking it and doing everything on his side. And let's just hope that he starts against Aston Villa, because I believe he deserves to start. He deserves the shirt.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely does. Paddy Power says, so to sum up, Tottenham Hotspur's night. Penalty talked off for diving. Concede a late goal to lose the game. The goal scorer is an Arsenal fan. Van der Ven offers out his own fans. Manager is spotted walking around with an Arsenal cup. Sensational stuff. Didn't even include Romero's bombshell statement as well.
But was that tweeted before it went out?
Yeah, it must have been. I don't know. Tweeted at 10:29. Yeah, it might have been. It was quite late, his statement.
There it goes. Yeah, just another...
Just a typical day in Tottenham.
Mate, that's a quiet day.
That's a quiet day.
It's a quiet day at Tottenham Hotspur and Hotspur Way.
George Sessions says, say what you want about Romero, but he cares about Tottenham, and I want players that at my club who care. It is, again, toxic around Tottenham, and there's a multitude of reasons why, but this group delivered in Bilbao. Some are not good enough, but plenty are. Stick with them. Do you buy that Romero cares about this club? Do you think that he signed a contract, he's our captain, but seems to get frustrated a lot?
I think honestly, I do think he has the club at his heart. We remember a couple of years ago did the interview saying, "I love London, I love this football club. It's where my kid was born, my kid is England, and all that. I love the Spurs fans." I do believe he has Tottenham in his heart, but every man has their limit, or every person, man and woman, has their limit, and when they say, "Right, this is it, I've got to say something." And Romero's come out and done it. So I do believe he has the club at his heart. I really do.
Next up, Paddy Power again, fully expecting to see Thomas Frank on AFTV tomorrow in full Arsenal kit, doing a watch-along for the Liverpool game. And Piers Morgan, lovely pick of Thomas Frank this morning.
Yeah, do you know what? This is the thing.
As much as, look, I understand he picked up the wrong cup, but... You're going to expect this, aren't you? It's just
mate, with the internet as it is now and social media,
I feel bad for him actually. This. Look, but at the end of the day, there's a picture of him holding an Arsenal cup, drinking from
exactly. What do you remember when people got told at Spurs you don't drive a red car? Mm-hmm. There's certain things. Obviously, he's picked up.
And also, there was someone who came in with red boots or red hair. I think Tainio was it, or someone. He tells a story.
Yeah.
Or like came in with red hair or red boots, and he's like, get rid of those.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you make this error, we're all going to be enraged, but the rest of the footballing world, and especially Arsenal fans, are going to lap this up and literally go for it. And it was obvious that was going to appear, isn't it, in some kind of format. And, oh, yeah, Jesus.
This picture is absolutely phenomenal from Spurs Insider saying he couldn't believe what he was seeing. This is our analyst just looking at Thomas Frank in absolute horror about what cup he is holding, and Frank completely oblivious, laughing away. This is unbelievable meme material. But this is our analyst, I can't remember his name, but this is our analyst who signed in the summer. His face is a proper picture, isn't it? He's literally looking at the cup like, oh my God, what are you holding?
Yep, what have you done?
Get rid of that. What have you done now?
Yeah. Mate,
But I hope he said something to him. You know, like there's when someone has something on their face and people say, should you say something? You should always say something. And he should be telling Frank, get rid of that cup immediately before anyone sees it. Like he's looking at it like, oh my God, what has he done?
the sad thing, you look at it, if someone was making him a cup of coffee, one of the person making it or him would have seen the emblem.
Someone
would have seen that emblem.
Someone in the chain must have seen it.
You know what I mean? If like when you're getting a pint poured for you got one end and the other. It's like, how has no one seen that?
I just love that Frank's face. He's just so oblivious to what's going on.
I did listen to Ben and say, do you know what? There is so much to put on the blame.
Obviously, it's trivial, but it's
trivial. But listen, if it's going to be trivial, to do something that concerns that team down the road is like the worst of the worst. And it's just
terrible.
Mate, do you know, just when this guy's like, do you know what? I can't catch a break. And then
I was saying, if Alonso was walking around the Bernabeu with a Barcelona cup, they'll probably attack him.
Mate, there will probably be people outside. The fans will be outside the training ground.
That's what I'm saying. So it does. I'm not saying it's like it makes the biggest deal, but it's a horrible, horrible look. And God, it's just, of all the things to do when we're on this bad run and you're under pressure, walking around with an Arsenal cup, like to top it off, it's just like, that will be the final straw for some people, however fair that is or not.
Also, you look at it, Jose Mourinho said in his interview, I wear the Tottenham pyjamas, I wear the pyjamas, theoretically and metaphorically speaking. Well, thanks to that image now, we've now seen Frank in the Filth's pyjamas. Wonderful things.
God. Can't wait for the memes to come out from that picture.
Oh, there's going to be a catalogue of them.
Out of context, Tottenham fans and players argue after the game. Yeah, this was Van der Ven after the game. Why do you think we're seeing this more and more, more broad public displays of frustration, disgruntlement from the players? There seem to be, reacting to things from fans. We saw Van der Ven and Spence trudging off the pitch. We saw after the game against Fulham when Vicario got booed, Porro telling Bergvall to stop cheering on, clapping the fans. We're now having this. Is this just more evidence of disconnect between the players and the fans, or what do you think is leading to this? It's hard to say.
It's a catalogue of things. It's the disconnection from the club as a whole to the way it treats its supporters is not good. And beforehand, obviously, you got to remember this time last year it was the Kulusevski song all about Levy. Like, let's get him out. It's enough. Well, now obviously we can look at Enoch. But all this anger would have been put in one place and one place only.
Yeah, now it's...
And now you look at it, these players... Frank's come out and said about the fans, which is obviously filtered down to the players. I am of the right... The fans have every right to criticise the performance. The performance, not personally attack the players. But there is a total... disconnect at this football club. There is a real big problem, and this is where we are now. You've got players asking,
basically telling fans, let's have it out, let's do it. Like, bloody hell, like everyone needs to just calm down. At the end of the day, we lost. You just got to take it on the chin. But I guess from his point of view, maybe he thought we played quite well, and to see fans still shouting these things was tough to take. But he's like, let's have it. He's like, let's have it out. He's willing.
Yes, the first time we've seen anything remotely like this from Van der Ven.
He's usually got such a cool head on him.
Yeah.
It's not great. Maya Almador said, this was my primary concern with Frank, and it's still the same. You cannot be an elite team without the intention to control games with the ball. There is a lot of quality in this squad. The performances and the approach should be better. Something I want to talk about is how incompetent Spurs are when it comes to recruiting managers. You can see the thought process, and it's very immature. They had Poch, who did a good job, but didn't win anything. So they went for serial winners in Mourinho and Conte. Their football was boring, so they went for the most fun manager in Europe in Postecoglou. Defensively, the team was disastrous. They went for the most solid coach available. Every managerial appointment is a drastic reaction to the last. There is no sporting vision for how to build something that lasts and take the club to the top. Ironically, Spurs are one of the easiest projects to solve because of the financial scale of the club and the squad at hand. All they need is competence.
I
We constantly get our managerial appointments wrong and their immature decisions.
I agree, but the one part I do disagree with is with the Jose and Conte appointments. Yes, I was fuming when we got Jose because it meant Poch had gone. We hired win now managers to win now, but we all knew categorically that those two types of managers spend hundreds upon hundreds of millions of pounds getting elite players in, winning, and then shitting the bed and going toxic. Jose wasn't given anything, really. Look at the players he wanted and what we got, but we all know that. Conte got us into the Champions League with a very, very poor squad, and we started playing some good football in that first 6 months. And then to address the Champions League, we had the £150 million windfall, which we didn't even spend, and signed 7 players. Conte wouldn't sign any of them at any of the other clubs he's been at. Not a single one of them. So I think, and the style of football, I think Spurs fans can, if Conte had stayed and spent the money wisely, and you saw we were 4th when he left and went nuts to Southampton. That was with shit, but Kane and Son. Imagine what he could have done if he got the type of players in that he wants, needs, and gets the best out of. So I agree wholeheartedly with competency and everything like that. But I think the Jose and Antonio Conte hirings were hired to win now and to Daniel Levy try and show Spurs fans, there you go, I've got you the top manager. And the club thought, no, I've got a top manager, we win. Not I need to do anything to back him.
Cody Mack. Big up
Cody.
He said on replying to Romero's Instagram, he said must have been some kind of lies they told him to get him to ink a new deal. Considering he's called out management in previous years, he's either deflecting, angling for an exit, or genuinely calling out the board. Hopefully, it has an effect on the winter window, but I'm doubtful.
He's bang on.
Yeah, let's see if the window makes a big difference. Scroll down to Spurs Web. Said nobody would believe that this club won a trophy less than 12 months ago. It's a sad state of affairs to see such a disconnect continuing to grow. This is Porro also having an altercation. You can see there with he's telling fans to F off, I think. Porro having out with fans as well. Look, you can see there, look, it was really aggressive between everyone. Oh, Vicario coming in to make peacemaker. You just cast your mind back to 6 months ago. We're all in the parade outside the Tottenham Stadium. Everyone's loving life, and now 6 months later, it just couldn't be more of a disconnect. It's horrible, really, considering it's just how quickly it's all unravelled.
Yeah, what I will say, where you're right, it's all unravelled. There was a disconnect before Bilbao. You remember when the last bit of Pochettino, when we hadn't won away for a year, it was paper against the Champions League, papered over the cracks. There was a lot of disconnect with this football club before Bilbao, whether it be the manager, whether it be the owner, whether it be players. Then there was Bilbao and the euphoria, which was rightly deserved, and people have waited a long time for. Some fans, it was the first trophy in their life. But the disconnect is back now.
Yeah.
And it seems to be between players, fans and manager.
And there's disconnect between fans arguing with each other, Frank in, Frank out.
Fans were doing that with Levy.
Fans
were doing that with Levy.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be long before people start getting on the Enix really hard. Like, what do you think about protests again? Is it time yet?
all I will say with this is obviously Change for Spurs have sent a statement over or an email. I can tell you firsthand, it was exactly this time last year where I started going to the training ground every single day with Ryan Isaacson, Graham, and then more people came. And then obviously Kulusevski and Bentancur came. And you start protesting, and then something happens. It makes you, I think, if anything, look, January is January. We don't know what we're going to do. The club know what they're going to try and do. Whether they pull it off is a...
I hope they do anyway.
Yeah, I hope, that's a good point. But I think to start protesting in January doesn't... If you're going to do it, you need to do it near the end, because, like I said, I was there 16, 17 days non-stop, and then Kulusevski and Bentancur delivered. And what that did, because the protest started gathering some movement and gaining some traction, and all the people were like, do you know what, maybe there is something to might not agree with what I say or how I say it, but might have said, you know what, he's getting a point. And then you get a Bentancur and Kulusevski, and everyone's like, oh my God, how stupid. So I don't know if it's too soon. I only know from my own experience, I would say it's too soon to protest right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if January is poor that Change for Tottenham don't start.
Tottenham independent transfer stories with a picture of Frank on AFTV being the new tie.
Well, that's...
Oh, God. Dearie me. Oh, poor Frankie boy. It's time to go! Luca THFC says, because of Vinay, here's the actual stats for Arteta's first 30 games in charge and the supposed bad run the next 30. So in Arteta's first 30 games, he won 18, drew 6 and lost 6. In his next 30, he won 17, drew 3, lost 10. And in Frank's first 30, he's won 11, drew 8 and lost 11. So he's much worse than Arteta, is what is the point.
I personally, when it comes to Arsenal, I think Arteta kept his job during that COVID time because of COVID.
Right.
If and what I mean by that is, if the fans were in the stadium the way they were feeling, they would have made their. But they would have. I think, and I think as well that might have happened with Jose at Spurs earlier because of the style of football. But I think there were times where I think they were in the bottom half at some point at Christmas or whatever.
There was a point in his second season where they started the season with like 7 losses in 8 or something.
Yeah, and I think if
but he also had the credit of the FA Cup in the bank.
That he did, but I think during COVID, if the fans had got in and COVID hadn't been a thing, and then obviously the fans would have acted. And I don't know. I mean, it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda now. But
the point being, everyone keeps Vinay has been one of the ones who was big on keeping Arteta.
Yep.
But this has been a lot worse than that. This isn't comparable, I guess, is the point.
Yeah.
To Arteta. And just because Arteta had a bad start, and even though it was not as bad as what we got, doesn't mean we've got the right guy.
But Joe, what I will say, and I will actually. The one thing I will always give praise to for Arteta, and I hate doing this, but I'm going to, and the Arsenal board, is he came in and immediately saw Aubameyang and Ozil as bad eggs and needed to get them out the door. They were club record signings on the highest wages of the club on 350 grand a week. And he said, get them out and get them out now. They're not going to help the squad. And Arsenal have obviously turned around and said, you do know these are our highest earners. These are like our... And they, with no managerial experience, they went, all right, we'll do this, but this is going to fall on you. Mm-hmm. So could you imagine if we'd had a top earner and the manager had said, I want him out? Do you reckon the Spurs board...
Their contracts, yeah.
Do you reckon the Spurs board would have gone, no, make him better, teach him? So with that, I do give Arteta the only slightest bit of credit is... He saw it, he asked for it, he dealt with it, and now look.
Me, Mourinho, with Ange, and still conceding late goals. And Spurs. Great partnership. Great partnership there. BLTHFC says, it's so funny that the narrative last season was that we'd be in a relegation battle if the bottom three weren't terrible. We're getting there this season with our strongest backline, not Davis, Gray, Dragoshin and Basuma at centre-back.
Yeah, what I will say this, I do agree with this, but then what you're saying about those with the defensive players, you could say with the attacking players for us now.
Well, now it is, yeah. I wouldn't give them that
Madders,
as much
Decky,
credit. Yeah,
Solanke.
yes, but again, they happened at the beginning.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
had them.
so I'm saying
Right now I agree because Kudus, Bergvall.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
right now that we're a bit of a crisis.
yeah, it's.
But I wouldn't have given them that grace during the season, to be honest. But I would, yeah, I wouldn't have given him as much, not as much grace as I gave Ange, put it that way, on that front. And that's it. That's it. That is it. Well, actually, one more. Can you scroll down to the Tottenham Hotspur tweet?
Yeah.
This was horrible news, obviously, we heard yesterday. Spurs tweeting out, it was an immense sadness that we announced the passing of our legendary former striker, Martin Chivers. We extend our deepest sympathies to Martin's family and former teammates at this incredible, sad time. Our players will wear black armbands, which they did yesterday for the game against Bournemouth. Rest in peace, Martin, one of the all-time greats. So, yeah, good time to remember one of our legends. Had an unbelievable scoring record. I read it out yesterday, 128 goals in 278 games. Won the UEFA Cup, won 2 League Cups. Much decorated, always welcome back at Tottenham. Has been back many, many times as one of the legends. Correct me if I'm wrong, when I was young, like in the early 2000s, wasn't he like an announcer or he was on the pitch?
He was doing, yeah.
He was doing it a lot, right?
Yep.
A lot of the pitch side stuff, similar to what Paul Coyt was doing, maybe.
Kind of, yep.
Yeah, a half time. Will be fondly remembered, and yeah, rest in peace.
I think fondly is a great way to say it. This guy. Obviously, it's just before my time, or a little bit before my time, but whenever I used to speak to my dad or grandpa or people of that generation, when they speak about Martin Chivers, you will only hear wonderful things. A striker that had 2 years of a purple patch, where pretty much everything he hit went in the back of the net. I've had the pleasure of being able to sit down and watch games that my dad had recorded or seeing catalogues of his goals. Had one of the hardest shots you ever see. A gentle giant, a legend. We use that word very, 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 very easily in today's modern football. Martin Chivers is definitely that, and it's a huge loss. Condolences to his friends and family, and I hope they honour him in some capacity, whether it's a minute silence, a minute applause, or something, so the fans can say goodbye, or something, because a wonderful player and had Spurs in his blood, didn't he?
I'm sure in the next home game, or maybe on Saturday, there'll be a tribute to him and a good marking, because he deserves it.
100%.
Rest in peace, Martin. Thoughts with his family. Hope obviously thoughts and prayers with them. But yeah, look, that is it for Reacts. Yesterday was a crazy day in Tottenham Hotspur. Today hasn't gotten much better. If